as a business owner, sometimes you get products to sample in the mail all the time, and I'm not sure whether you guys mailed us an envelope or stopped by with a couple envelopes. I was doing a lot of running at the time and was always having stomach issues, especially on anything longer than a 20-mile run. Um, and so before one run, I decided to try this UCAN product. And that run, I had one of the greatest runs ever. I didn't need to refuel until about 12 miles in. And because of that, I only needed 2 goos for a 26-mile run instead of 5. And that made a huge difference to me. So because I like the product, I had a couple other staffers try it, and one of our staffers was doing the Vermont 50, and he was having all kinds of stomach issues too, so he started to take it and kind of have a little joke that if, Duncan doesn't need much, but if Duncan likes it and Duncan says that it's necessary, it's kind of like this is a legit thing. So we started to bring it in, and it was a little bit slow to sell at first because you needed staff to be like, hey, if you have stomach issues, this is a great product to take. But UCAN's been super helpful with providing samples for training programs and taste tests and all that good stuff. And business has built up. And I ran some numbers for this year, and as of last week, we had sold 993 units this year for $8,336. And the pretty impressive thing is that from June to September, we've sold $4,500 worth, or 568 units. And that's a 67% increase over our sales from last year, which, when you're selling nutrition that at an envelope of $2 to $3 an envelope, or I think it's $60 for the canister, it's a pretty impressive amount of sales. And my sister does all the ordering, and I think she's on like an every 2-week order that she's putting in another $500 order of UCAN. So we can't keep it on the shelves right now.
Steph, I appreciate you putting some data to that perspective, because that's a fascinating kind of look at how things have grown. I would just ask you, from a business owner and specialty store owner perspective, you're speaking to people who are going to very much understand the significance of what you're saying. How does that, in terms of the revenue UCAN's bringing you, maybe in the context of some other nutrition, how does that kind of go along with expectations out of what you guys expect generally nutrition to bring to a running store from a revenue standpoint?
And I knew you were going to ask that question. I meant to run some other numbers of our nutrition sales. I will say that typically we have a Hammer, their Heat and Perpetual and Recover Right products. Noon has really good sell-through, but sort of on those other Guru, that kind of product, if we could do a turn of our inventory every 90 days, that's kind of what we shot for. But really our UCAN inventory right now is turning over every 14 to 21 days, which is pretty ridiculous.